When I was a little boy, the cosmos seemed to me a fascinating, mysterious force, magnificent, grandiose. And there was a strong sense of confidence that the secrets of space would soon be revealed to mankind and everything would change. It was like that in childhood. Now I understand that space is a terrible black force that has all the possibilities and all the mechanisms of influence on living people, on the humanity of the planet Earth. It is very difficult to talk about this, but what I want to tell you actually took place. It happened to me. Now I say that the cosmos opens up an abyss for man, on the edge of which we realize our insignificance. Despite the exploration of near space, the construction of space stations, radio telescopes, and Hubble-type telescopes, we are still not even in the cradle of space exploration. We are in an embryonic, helpless state, and the cosmic forces can do anything to us. That's what I want to tell you. This happened to me 2 years ago, when I was on an ethnographic expedition to one of the islands of the Bali archipelago. The island was called Lombok. We stayed there for 2 or 3 days. In principle, it doesn't matter. I assure you, what happened to me happens to people all over the globe, regardless of geography and origin. So, I'll start in order. In the evening, I was in my tent, because we went on an expedition into the interior of the island, in search of various ethnographic artifacts, such as rock paintings, petroglyphs, and so on. We weren't sure if we would find it, but we had to check, as we received a specific instruction. But that's not the point. I was in a tent, and I plunged into an incomprehensible state. No trance. But I heard the blood rush to my ears. I began to hear my heart pounding. I was very surprised because I had never suffered from pressure before. I was scared because I thought it might be fever, malaria, or anything. And then I heard a light, barely perceptible whisper in my ears, which sounded in my native language, but somewhere far away, like an echo of some kind. I heard another language, another voice. But what kind of language it is, I can't say now. It consisted of clicking, gurgling sounds that merged into a single cacophony. But nevertheless, I heard the speech in my native language, and this voice told me, "Don't be afraid, it's not malaria." I was surprised, because really understand my condition too, how it feels to hear someone else's voice in your head. Then they told me to calm down, that no harm would be done to me, I should not be afraid. And then I saw a flash, but I didn't see the flash anywhere tangible. The flash was on the cornea of my eyes. I saw it as if from the inside. I was asked to confirm that I was seeing a flash. I squeezed my eyes shut in a state of fright, opened my eyes, but the flash did not disappear. And they told me again, confirm the flash. I do not know how to explain it now, but I said I confirm it. The flash is gone. I began to feel my body sinking into a warm, invisible cocoon, as if a huge cellophane bag was enveloping me. At the same time, I could breathe freely, but I was scared. There was a constant sound in my ears. Don't be afraid, don't be afraid, don't be afraid, don't be afraid. After that, a voice in my head said that my hematopoietic system was malfunctioning. Immediately, I felt a sharp prick in the liver area, after which I was told that the system was now functioning normally. I was shocked. Then the voices died away. In the morning, when I woke up, I asked one of my comrades. I asked that everything be confidential between me and him. I said that there was something wrong with me. I heard some voices at night. I asked him to watch me, stay close. I couldn't explain it all to myself. Obviously, healthy people do not hear voices in their heads at night that are trying to interact in some way. A day later, I fell asleep. There was a flash in my eyes again. They asked me to confirm it. I confirmed it and fell into some kind of subdomain of sleep, like a lucid dream. I felt like my consciousness. After all, a dream is a journey of consciousness. Literally thousands of light years away, I find myself in the atmosphere of a giant ocean planet. I'm looking down from a height of probably more than 10 kilometers, and there's a huge ocean below me, and someone is whispering in my ear, "You're at the very edge of the galaxy." After that, I woke up, but the voice in my head continued to sound. He told me that the journey was not happening to me, but to the quantum model of my consciousness that they had created for me to protect me. I began to become convinced that most likely I was going crazy and the expedition should be curtailed, return home as soon as possible, while I was still in a more or less normal state of mind and spirit, and go to bed for examination. But the voice in my head said again that, "Don't worry, it's okay, we're watching you, it's contact." They also said that they are extraterrestrial entities, and this happens all over the planet Earth, with different people in a random order. And after that, they asked me a question. Do I consent to the further travels of my quantum model of my consciousness? I answered yes. And now I want to tell everyone who hears me, if you ever hear a voice in your head, and this voice starts asking for your consent to anything, do not give it in any case. It turned out to be a disaster for me. When I agreed, everything changed. I fell into a state of sleep regardless of my desire. My consciousness moved regardless of what I was doing. It was painful. My head hurt a lot. My nose was bleeding. When I turned to these entities and said that they were harming me, that was hard for me. They replied, "But you gave your consent." To all my requests to stop, they answered unequivocally, "You yourself agreed." They said it many times. After that, I repeatedly woke up in places that were not familiar to me in real life. I fell asleep in my apartment and woke up outside. I'm a psychiatrist on my own, underwent examinations, and was on various examinations. Everyone said that there was no confirmation of schizophrenia or bipolar disorder. One doctor prescribed me very serious antipsychotics at his own risk, and I used them. But I didn't get any better. All this lasted about 6 months. And these creatures that penetrated into my brain and controlled me reached such a degree of unbridledness that they began to tell me that they would break my psyche, break my eye, that they needed my mental energy, that the quantum model of my consciousness was their toy. And then I realized that these forces use the psyche of people to fuel any of their devices, mechanisms, perhaps their lives. First, they show something interesting, like you know something. Because I traveled with them, I saw the burial of a giant spaceship on the surface of the moon. I saw Venus on the surface of Pluto. I saw buildings and ruins of cities. It was explained to me that Pluto was pulled millions of years ago into the solar system from another system of stars and planets during a close passage. That there was life on the planet Pluto before that. They also told me about the planet Phaeton and showed me its image in my mind, explained that there was life there, which then moved to Mars after a planetary catastrophe and then to Earth. These are the obvious answers for me now, but I keep tormenting myself. They won't let me go. Every day I hear threats that if I don't obey, that will break my psyche and I will become an incompetent vegetable. I can't get free in any way. And I gave my consent to this myself. I've not seen these creatures, but as they explained to me, they are not able to move their bodies between the stars. Only their consciousness can move. And their psyche is millions of times stronger than human ones. They are able to suppress the will, influence the time continuum and the reality around them. And those creatures, the gray and gray-green men that we are used to seeing in the movies, it also exists. These are biorobots that can withstand the overload of space flights. Therefore, they do the work of other entities. They kidnap people, by the way, all this is true. Conduct inhuman experiments on people, do experiments of all kinds, and at the same time do not feel pity. Because these are biorobots. They cannot help, they cannot save, they cannot tell. They are biorobots, and they carry out the program that is embedded in them. I think that the main idea and purpose of beings who travel with their consciousness between the stars is to create such biorobots from people. I understand everything perfectly. I'm trying to fight, but I can't resist them. With my message, I want to convey to you, never give consent to what you don't like and what you doubt. As soon as they receive your yes, they will not leave you alone. Perhaps they are involved in some kind of planetary or universal conspiracy. Perhaps they have received permission for such experiments from the heads of mankind. After all, now the world is fighting for victory over the singularity, trying to learn how to digitize human consciousness, thereby opening up the prospects of eternal life. This is done by Elon Musk, Altman, those who train and program neural networks. We are on the threshold of something terrible, inhuman, and diabolical. Take advantage of my message. Realize that cosmic entities are watching over us. We are under their constant control, and it is unknown who they will snatch tomorrow for their experiments. Be able to resist this. Mobilize all your will into a fist and say, "I am not a test mouse." They are afraid of this, but if you give them your consent, then blame yourself. I'm finishing my message. In the future, if I don't get in touch, then you know, most likely my earthly days have stopped.